Hey everyone, today we're checking out the Energy RC-70 tower speaker. These have been popping up all over the place lately. People are talking about them for home theater setups and just everyday listening. I finally got my hands on a pair, and I've been putting them through their paces for the last couple of weeks. If you want to see what all the buzz is about, the link is in the description so you can check the current price and availability on Amazon. First off, these are real towers, tall, sleek, and they look great in a living room or even a dedicated media space. They're not tiny bookshelf speakers, so if you're working with limited space, you'll want to measure first. But if you've got the room, they bring a real presence to your setup. The build quality feels solid, with a nice matte black finish that doesn't show fingerprints easily. They're not overly heavy, but they're not light either, definitely feel like they're built to last. Now, let's talk sound. The RC-70s are ported, which means they have that rear-firing bass vent. That really helps with the low-end extension. I played some bass-heavy tracks through them, and they didn't just rumble, they delivered actual punch without sounding muddy. I was listening to some classic rock with deep organ notes, and the speakers handled it without straining. That's important because a lot of tower speakers can sound boomy or unclear in the low end, but these kept everything tight and controlled. I also ran them at moderate volumes for movie nights. The dialogue was clear, and the surround effects felt well placed. I didn't need to crank the volume to feel immersed in the action. That's a big plus for home theater use, where you want clarity without distortion. Even when I pushed them a bit louder, they didn't start to sound harsh or fatiguing. That's a sign of good driver quality and crossover design. Another thing I noticed is how well they pair with different music genres. I tried everything from jazz to hip-hop to acoustic covers, and they adapted nicely. The mid-range was especially smooth, vocals came through naturally without any honkiness or excessive brightness. That makes them versatile for casual listening, not just movies or bass-heavy music. The frequency response is listed from 31 Hz to 23 kHz, which is pretty wide. In practice, that means you get deep bass and clear highs without needing a separate subwoofer. I didn't feel like I was missing out on any detail, even in complex passages. That's a nice convenience if you're trying to keep your setup simple. One thing to keep in mind is the impedance. They're rated at 8 ohms nominal, but dip down to 4 ohms at some frequencies. That means you'll want an amplifier that can handle that kind of load without overheating. If you're running them off a receiver that's pushing 100 watts or more, you should be fine. But if you're using a smaller integrated amp, just double-check that it can handle the minimum impedance. They also get pretty loud for their size. I was able to fill a medium-sized living room with rich sound without needing to max out the volume. That's helpful if you like to listen at higher levels without distortion. Now, let's talk about the downsides. First, they're not cheap. They're a solid investment, so if you're on a tight budget, these might not be the best fit. Second, because they're large, they're not ideal for small apartments or shared spaces where you need to keep the volume down. You'll want to consider placement too, they need a little breathing room to sound their best. Overall, though, the Energy RC-70s are impressive tower speakers that deliver real performance. They're great for home theater, music listening, and even casual parties. If you've got the space and the budget, they're definitely worth considering. So if you're in the market for a pair of tower speakers that can handle both movies and music with ease, check out the Energy RC-70s. The link is below if you want to see the current price and availability. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.